Hi, I'm Stephen David Horwich, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about Connect the Thoughts. Connect the Thoughts is a core curriculum. What that means is that we have courses that are directly related to each other and which provide an ongoing and increasingly more profound educational experience. We have developed this program principally for homeschoolers, though it has been used in schools successfully. It was developed mostly because I'm a dad, and I'm a writer, and I'm a teacher. And those three things conspired to have me write this program. Essentially, I have two children whose names are Catherine and William, and they went to private schools throughout their early years in which I taught. I created the arts programs in the schools where they attended, but I was never really thrilled with the curriculum that they were studying, and I was actually never totally thrilled with the private schools, though they were nice private schools. So what happened with us was that in 2002 my daughter came home with a homework assignment in history, her first history assignment for high school. And I looked it over, and without getting into too much detail, it was childish, it was not effective education at all. It was intended to explain to her the history of Egypt essentially on a single page with some pencil drawings on it. So I was very discouraged at that point, and being on the board of the school, I had been complaining about their curriculum for several years. What I realized that night was that I could no longer afford to continue to simply complain about their curriculum or the school, that it was too late. My daughter was starting high school. My son, who's 4 years younger than her, who's extraordinarily bright, really needed to be challenged, and he wasn't being challenged. So that day I withdrew my children from private school, and I started homeschooling. That night I sat down and I started writing the first history course, because the creative writing courses had already been designed and written to some extent. I started writing the first history course after I looked around for a while and realized that I wasn't going to be able to find on the internet the kind of curriculum that I wanted my children to do. Well, now what did I want my children to do? Because what I'm offering you is essentially what I wanted my children to do. So you have every right and reason to want to know. First of all, I wanted them exposed to history very thoroughly, very completely. I wanted them exposed to science in the same way. I wanted them exposed to religion, which is something that schools avoid like the plague. They have to, for all kinds of legal and silly reasons. They just can't discuss religion, even though it's terribly important in all of our lives. I wanted them exposed to the arts in a really profound manner. I wanted them exposed to the world. And I didn't think that their school experience was accomplishing this in any real substantive way. So I set out to find a curriculum that did that. I didn't take very long, I didn't look very long, I admit. Since that time in 2002, I've spent a great deal of time looking for other curricula that might do some of the things that I really wanted for my children, and I really never found it. Among other things, I wanted the curriculum to be related. I wanted everything associated so that they weren't doing a series of unrelated courses, unit courses of materials that were really empty educational calories. That's what I call it. Really didn't have any bearing on any kind of core substantive education that I wanted my children to have. Personally, I think if your history and your science and your arts courses are efficient and creative and thorough, your students are going to learn most of the things they would have learned doing small unit courses, but they're going to learn them in an integrated fashion. They're going to understand the importance of each individual piece to the big puzzle. If you do a unit course on Napoleon, you learn about Napoleon, but you don't really understand where Napoleon came from. You don't understand that he's a a result of the French Revolution, and you don't understand that the French Revolution is a result of Louis XIV, XV, and XVI of absolute rulers who made life in France untenable. You really need to study everything in sequence thoroughly to understand its place in the great puzzle that is life. And I wanted my children to really very much understand these things, which is why I've taken over 11,000 hours over the last 10 years, really starting, actually 12 years, starting with when I was authoring creative writing courses in 98. I believe I started writing those, 1998. I wanted my children to be exposed to a wonderful education that was thorough and really made them think. What I discovered when my children started doing my courses was that other parents and children would look at them and desperately want to do them. So we ended up very rapidly with 10 children in my house every day studying these courses, and 2 of their parents who were trained teachers supervising them through the courses, which freed me up to continue to write courses in my office, where I'd lock the door in the house and go and sit down at the computer and try to stay ahead of the curve of how fast these students were moving through my curriculum. So that is where the curriculum came from, and it has taken thousands of hours to write what you are looking at today. You may want to know a little bit about my background. That's perfectly fine. Let me tell you rather briefly about myself. I was born in 1956 in Los Angeles, California. I have been throughout my entire life several things. I've been an actor, a writer, and principally I am a writer, a director. I have an Emmy Award for a piece that I wrote and directed when I was 17 years old, which I also performed in. And I have also been, during that entire time, a teacher. I started teaching actors and writers at age 15 in professional workshops. By the time I was 20, I was teaching. Throughout my 20s, I taught in universities and public schools. And once I had children when I was in my early 30s, I started teaching in private schools. While I've been teaching all of these kinds of things, I also taught private students in private workshops for artists the entire time. I actually have well over 20,000 hours in workshops and classrooms as a teacher, just in direct experience with students, on top of the well over 11,000 hours of writing this curriculum. So you are being given a curriculum from a very experienced teacher. I'm not just a dad who wanted to solve the problem of curriculum. I'm a professional writer and a teacher, and I brought both of those skills to bear in the authoring of this curriculum. Well, I hope that will give you some idea of who I am and where Connect the Thoughts came from. We hope you'll look through the site. There's lots of articles, many success stories, lots of videos, samples of every single course. The site is very rich and can really tell you what you want to know about what we offer. We offer many free downloads about how to homeschool, about Connect the Thoughts, spelling courses that are free. Please take advantage of our site. Use it to your heart's content. Bring your friends. Look around. There's plenty to look at. It's quite a store. And we hope that you'll consider us as a part of your educational solution. Thank you very much.